All right, so we are continuing with our lesson on converting standard form equations into slope-intercept form so that they could be easily graphed, because it's super easy to graph an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. So let's take a look at this one right here. 12x plus 9y equals 18. So our overall goal is to get the y all by itself on the left-hand side of the equation, because we want it to look something similar to this. Y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, where that line would cross the y-axis. Okay, so first things first. We'll start to get y by itself, so we're going to subtract 12x from both sides of the equation, so that when we do that, that one and that one cancel out, and I'm left with just 9y on this side. And because I want this to look as close to slope-intercept form as possible, I'm going to put that as negative 12x at the beginning of the right-hand side, and then I'm going to add the 18 afterward. All right, we're almost there. The next step here is to divide both sides by 9, and that means we have to divide everything by 9. Every term must be divided by 9 in the equation. Now, when we do that, 9 divided by 9 is 1. 1 times y is just y. So there, we've got y all by itself on one side of the equation. Now, negative 12 divided by 9, first of all, is just going to be negative 12 ninths multiplied by x, plus 18 divided by 9 is 2. Now, we are almost there. The reason I say almost is because our slope, the coefficient of x right here, cannot be in an unsimplified form. So we want to make sure that we simplify that fraction if we end up with a fraction. So we have to find the greatest common factor of 12 and 9. And in this case, I believe that greatest common factor is 3. So we divide each of those by 3. And so when we drop this down, y equals negative, of course, because it was negative before. 12 divided by 3 is 4. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. Multiply that by x plus 2. And there we have our equation of this line that was in standard form. Now it's in slope-intercept form. So if we were to graph this, rough sketch would mean that this particular line will cross the y-axis at 2. So we would go up 2, boop, boop, and that's where it crosses the y-axis. And it has a slope of negative 4/3. So that means it's going to go down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and it's going to go over 3. 1, 2, 3. And that's enough to draw the line of this equation. X-axis, y-axis. Okay, rough sketch. Piece of cake, no problem. Slope-intercept form from standard form. All right, let's practice the next one. 9x minus 15y equals 135. All right, just like the last one, we want to get y by itself on the left-hand side. So first thing I'm going to do is subtract 9x from both sides. When I do that, that one and that one cancel each other out, and I'm left with negative 15y equals negative 9x, because I want that to come first, because that's proper form for slope-intercept, plus 135. All right. Now, next step is to get y by itself. So we divide by negative 15, because that's the coefficient of y. Divide by negative 15. Divide by negative 15. Every term must be divided by the coefficient of y. And when we do that, Those cancel each other out, and I'm left with just y equaling. Now, -9 divided by -15. Negative divided by negative is positive, so that's 9/15 x plus, oops, so not plus, sorry about that. Got ahead of myself. Positive 35 divided by -15 is going to be a negative quotient. What is 135 divided by 15? 9. All right, and we are almost there because you should notice that 9/15 is a fraction that should be simplified. There is a common factor between 9 and 15, and that common factor is 3 because 3 will go into both of them evenly. So y, of course, stays the same, but 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 15 divided by 3 is 5, and the x stays where it is, and -9 hasn't changed. So now our equation from 9x minus 15y equals 135 is now y equals 3/5 x minus 9. If we were to graph this on a line, we would have to go down to -9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it would cross the y-axis there. But it has a slope of 3/5, so it would go up 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we would put our thing there, and we could draw our line just like that because it's in slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is so easy to graph with. And let's try this one, the next one, while we're at it, right? We've got nothing to lose. So, of course, we want to get the y by itself on one side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 8x because it's over there and it doesn't need to be, minus 8x. Those cancel each other out, and I get 20y equals -8x minus 120, because this was a -120, so it has to remain a -120. Okay, now we will need to divide by the coefficient of y, which in this case is 20, because we want to get 20 by its, or y by itself. Divide everything by that 20. That one and that one cancel each other out, so I'm left with y equals -8/20 times x, and -120 divided by 20 is -6. But as you can see, the coefficient of x here, our slope, is not a simplified fraction, and it needs to be. So let's divide by the greatest common factor, which in this case happens to be 4, because 4 is the largest number. That'll go into both 8 and 20. So when we do that, y will stay the same. This will still be a negative slope. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And minus 6. Oh, don't forget the x. Y equals -2/5 x minus 6. So if we were to graph this, we would go down to -6, where the y-intercept is. 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be where our line starts. And it has a slope of -2/5. So it's going to go down to 1, 2, and over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And our line would go through those points, just like that. Easy to graph using slope-intercept form. Okay. And I think we have just enough time to quickly sashay through the last one here. 15x plus 6y equals 48. You know what? I'm going to let you guys do this one on your own for the assignment. So make sure you write it down, 15x plus 6y. It'll also be attached to the assignment. You'll find it in the forms document. It's also in OneNote, obviously. So it's there for you to practice. I'm going to stop the recording so you can start to practice.